business is the most powerful institution on the planet. It's bigger and stronger and more powerful than many governments, in fact. And yet, only if business recognises that in order to do well, it has to do good, are we going to be able to solve the environmental and social problems that the world's facing.
Money is the rationalisation for doing nothing, because we fear, we have a lot of fear that if we make huge structural changes to the way our economies will work and so on, that economic collapse will ensue and we'll all be hungry and destitute. Well, I don't think so.
You might think that it's common sense, to, for example, have a hybrid fleet and to be taking other environmental actions, for example, energy efficiency, looking at the cost of electricity, reducing the cost of electricity by implementing energy efficiency management systems. The very interesting fact of the matter is, though, that common sense isn't very common. So there are a tremendous number of business people who haven't got the message, even though it's in their financial best interest.
In a business context, I think we have to reconsider profit. I think we have to reconsider what is profit and when is, how much profit is enough profit. And I think we have to reconsider the ideas of growth. And, that's not just the corporate entity that has to do that and its corporate offices. That goes right across society, particularly shareholders have to reconsider, okay, when they make an investment, they buy shares, they invest in a company, they have to really consider what is a fair return from that company in the short term and what is a fair investment in the practices of that company over a longer term.
If we don't have investment, we're not going to have businesses that are producing the goods and services required to address the problem of climate change. They're not really going to be able to achieve all that they want to achieve from their vision of society in the future if they're just avoiding the bad guys. They need to put money into the good guys, if you like, to encourage them, to enable them to have the capital to produce the goods and services that make the world go round in the way that we want it to be going round.
There's an interesting debate between how much is enough and greed, and I think what we get stuck in is a greed mentality, and I think we're going to have to start thinking more about what's enough for us. Part of the problem is that we define business success by growth and by constant growth of profit or income, and so what we're at the SBN trying to get companies to start looking at as broader indicators of success, so that they start looking at success of people not working 50-hour weeks anymore, or people enjoying the jobs that they're in, or having more spare time or longer holidays, not just the profit motive.
Traditionally, it's been argued that the only business of business is business and worrying about what the shareholders have to say. So don't worry about the environment, don't worry about the community and all these other stakeholder groups. But when the shareholders turn up and say, we want you to take this on board, and if the management then rolls out its old cliched response, the management might find they don't have a job, because it is the shareholders that control the business ultimately. So we as shareholders need to go knocking on their door and say, wake up, smell the roses, get with the program, you need to be taking these actions.
There's lots of our businesses who tend to be in the larger corporate space are already starting to measure job satisfaction, and they ask their employees in anonymous surveys how satisfied they are as a member of staff. And interestingly, the ones that, I'll quote one company called IAG Insurance, they look at how satisfied their staff are on a myriad of things, and then they talk about their sustainability commitment and how staff feel about that. And it's really interesting because the staff love it. It's one of their top reasons for enjoying working at IAG.
If we reassess what is quality of life and how much money and how much we need to achieve that, that's a different way of looking at the world. And I think that when there are good models out there, people realise that they're not giving up something, they're actually gaining something.
What we need is businesses who are using their entrepreneurial ability, using their innovation to look at those carbon-related challenges and to look at how they can develop products and services, innovative technologies to address those needs, and also in terms of the way in which they're conducting business currently, that they can reduce their impact from the carbon perspective.
The cost saving stuff is a biggie, and it's really clear that the sustainability helps drive things like energy efficiency, which is an immediate cost saving. It helps reduce wastage, which is also a cost savings. But the other really compelling case is it helps attract and retain top talent from staff, because if your businesses seem to be ethically minded and doing the right thing, more of the smarter people who tend to be into this already are going, I want to be there, I want to be working in that business.
It's no point talking energy efficiency if you don't also talk demand destruction, because people have a tendency to use the money that they've saved, or the savings from energy efficiency, and turn that into the purchase of more consumer products and bigger consumer products, which just end up en masse cumulatively to be using more energy. Yeah, so it's this combination of reduce. It's really, we need to focus on reduce, and that includes destroying our demand. That side of the equation often doesn't get looked at enough.
Other issues that arise when you have companies that are leaders, and they might find that they're meeting the market in terms of those consumer demands, but that there are competitors who are, for example, just polluting, and they're real laggards rather than leaders. And there we do need more government action to have more internalising of costs, so that the people who are lagging behind are having to meet those costs, and that the market really does truly reflect the environmental costs and the social costs of what's being produced. That's always been a challenge within the business world. We talk about it as internalising the externality. So there's all these external costs, then sometimes you will get a distorted equation, and businesses not fully incentivised to reflect what's actually going on from an environmental perspective.
We're starting to see government purchasing policies coming through, which are helping to, really drive business engagement in this. So not only the government doing it, but also the big corporates are also saying when they want to buy products and services, they want the companies to be doing the right thing. So that's also helping to drive the demand for sustainability in New Zealand.
There's all these signals that come to businesses, and if those businesses don't get the signals, then again the shareholders can play a key role, or indeed we all as stakeholders need to play a bigger role ourselves in terms of sending the message as customers, as sending the message as community members about what's important.
Let's examine things closely here. Let's not just, when we come up with barriers like money, it's going to cost money. Well, yeah, okay, it's going to cost money, but relative to what? We don't have a choice not to spend that money. I mean, what is the alternative? Ask yourself that. What is the alternative of not spending the money? It's crazy.
I think there's a lot of people there's actually a smaller number of people that are hoping this is just a phase and it's going to go away. So they're just going to wait for the phase to be over because they think it's a bit of a hummock in the line of business. I think that the news for those guys is that it's not going to go away, and as a matter of fact it's just going to get bigger. So they really need to start thinking about that strategically, or their businesses won't survive.